Let's just go live. That sounds plenty of feedback. Good evening. Welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. Gemma's in the house. Evening from Maka and the Bump, a future subscriber. I hope so, Gemma. And I haven't forgotten about what you mentioned. I do have plenty of time on my hand this week due to situation. But anyway, let me just check this. That sounds a lot better. Perfect. Right, Rod's in the house from Brecon. Alan is in the house from Muggy St. Andrews. Alan is in the house and Paul Baird's in the house also. Right. There is a lot of Celtic news kicking around this evening. We'll get into the big one first of all. The Paulo Bernardo deal, it has been said, is done and dusted. Well, as good as. But Celtic do expect to make an announcement imminently. Imminently. That means the next couple of days. San Fran Celtics is in the house also. So that basically means that the next couple of days Celtic are expecting to announce the Paulo Bernardo deal is done and dusted. But it doesn't really put us at ease. And one of the players that was mentioned with Celtic during the summer, one of the players that was mentioned with Celtic during the summer was a young Bristol City striker, Tommy Conway. Tommy Conway looks to be Middlesbrough could turn to Bristol City's Tommy Conway. Looks as if Middlesbrough are going to steal the deal on that one. He is just a young player. He's in the under-21s. He did get into the Scotland squad this year. But Middlesbrough are looking to have made contact with him. It's been suggested. So we'll just wait and see how that one plays out. I know that people were saying he was linked with Celtic, but at 21-year-old, he's not what Celtic need. He's definitely not what Celtic need this summer. Sean is in the house. Hello, Baz. And Derek is in the house also. And the reason I'm pointing them out is they are channel members. Big shout to all the channel members. I'll give you that. Give all the channel members a shout out in just a minute. But so that's the news coming out of down in England. Bristol City's Tommy Conway could be going to Middlesbrough. Paulo Bernardo deal, that is done and dusted, it said. But there is another announcement that was kind of sneaked out. And before the season's even started, SPFL teams are at it again. Celtic announced the tickets for the upcoming away game against Hibernian and on the 11th of August are available for purchase. However, it is down. The allocation is down from last season. Last season, Celtic got 3,624 tickets. This time, it is decreased to 2,930, which is 694 seats less this time around. That are going to have to walk over that stupid bridge to get into the stadium, and then they have the 2 police cordons to get through, and then the 5 turnstiles to get through, to get 2,900 people through. It's a ridiculous situation at Hibernian, but it is the way that Scottish football is going. It's going to be a place where no away fans. They'd be as well just locking out away fans. I mean, we've not even got into the start of the season, and I can see that this one kicking off already. Fans moaning about that the atmosphere's gone, but you can understand Hibernian's case. They'll say, look, there has been 2 teams that have visited and they have annihilated the place with pyrotechnics. So then there has to be the reduction in the tickets to make sure that there doesn't have that chance of the stadium getting filled with smoke. And you remember the one game last year at Hibernian, people thought that it got awful cloudy awful quick or foggy. And it wasn't. It was the pyrotechnics. They just didn't show the pyrotechnics on the telly. They just let everyone think it got foggy really quick. Paul Price says, hi, Baz, fed up with the Ida Bernardo. Either won't sign or will sign. Paulo Bernardo deal will be done in the next 48 hours, it is believed. Don't quote me on it, though, in case it's not done in 48 hours. But certain people in the media are saying that the deal is entering the final stages and the 3.5 million deal will be done for Paulo Bernardo this week. And I'm choked full. because there's loads of dust in the air from Africa again. It's great. Anyway, other Celtic news before we start talking about players and lack of players. There was a thing put out about the new facilities, the new training ground at Barrowfield. The proposals to have a separate groundkeepers facility has been submitted to Glasgow City Council. Also, an extra security accommodation for the complex. That's basically phase 2 and 3 that the applications have been put in for. The first one was obviously put in for phase 1 of the project. Separate planning applications, known as Phase 1, has already been submitted by Ryden on behalf of Celtic FC. This has include proposals for an indoor training facility, modular changing rooms, gym, reception area, medical first aid room, which have already been approved by the local authority. Another application I'll refer to as Phase 2 was the second modular facility, including offices, changing rooms, canteen space, has also been submitted to Glasgow City Council, pending its consideration. Barrowfield Training Ground is mostly used by the youth teams and the women's team. The proposed development of the new complex is to host the Celtic Boys and Girls Academies and the new dedicated training centre for the women's team. The planning that went in recently said that the new facilities at Barrowfield will ensure a modern and fit for purpose facility will be available, meeting the requirements of Celtic FC. Also, importantly, the football governing bodies, the holistic vision is one that the training centre will feature a new indoor arena featuring a full-sized FIFA-approved artificial surface, combination of outdoor grass area, artificial pitches with the state of them, the gym, fitness facilities, etc., etc., etc. It says that the new state-of-the-art complex demonstrates Celtic's commitment to the East End of Glasgow to maintain a significant presence within the local community. Because let's face it, there's a lot of Huns in that area. let's just say there's a lot of Huns in the area. Let's jump back into the comment section and see what you're saying this evening. I need to turn that light on a bit because I can't see the screen. There we go. Bernardo breakout season incoming. Well, we all know that. But it just means, will he actually replace Rio Hatate? Because there's a lot of speculation saying that if Celtic are going to sell anyone, it will be Rio Hatate to sell and not Matt O'Reilly. The Rangers are in a small claims court for not paying landscapers at Murray Park. There you go. Oh my goodness. That's absolutely fantastic. Bernardo is still as a returning player. Where's the new faces? Yeah, where is the new faces? We'll talk about that in a minute. Good evening, troops, says Lanky. Here we Baz from Fort Myers Beach in a sweltering Florida. Well, it's still 32 degrees here. My laptop's telling me it's still 32 degrees outside. Which is great, yeah. 32 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Work that out yourself. Anyway, Paul Bear says that he can't say he's surprised about, I take it the Paulo Bernardo deal. Paul Price says, hey, Baz, fed up with the Aidan Bernardo situation. Yeah, I think we all are. How would the allocations work? Oh, you're taking it about, you can't say surprised about the allocations getting the cut. How would the allocations work at Hampden with the, yeah, I've no idea. Because let's face it, that has got massive security concerns if Celtic, I think they're hoping to be out of Hampden before the Celtic game. Because let's face it, that is massive, massive security concerns. Celtic fans would have to come in from one side, which they normally do. But Rangers would have to fork out an absolute fortune to get the police to cordon off the stadium correctly. Until the name is signed on the dotted line, nothing is certain as far as signings is coming. Yeah, true. Very true, Paul. Selhitati, he's lost interest 18 months ago. I think he did. And the fact that he's came out this summer again and noted the fact that he wants to play at a higher level, a higher league, be it England or somewhere in Europe. Baz, are we getting Conway from Bristol? No. The Conway for Bristol one, it looks like he's going to go to Middlesbrough. And I don't think that Conway is the striker that Celtic need at the moment. I don't think bringing in another 21-year-old. I mean, we've got a 21-year-old just now, the boy Kenny that is in Ireland with Shamrock Rovers again. Um, I mean, we've put him out on loan. There's no need for us to buy in another striker unless we're going to buy him in as a third choice. And it could be the fact that it could be his agent saying that Middlesbrough is the in talks or thereabout. He has failed to agree a new contract with Bristol City. I don't know how long he's got on his current contract, though. We'll try and find that one out. But anyway, Celtic do have. John is off to Tunisia next Friday. Better be hotter than Cowdenbeath. I'm sure it will be. Kenny is playing for Shamrock. Yeah. We're not signing anybody, Barry, says Frank. Well, we should see. Gordon Crouch says, too much messing about with the transfers. Can't see the supporters being happy bringing in players early. It's 1.5 million extra for either. Get the deal done and move on. The board are just a joke with the fans. Right, let's get talking about the fact that there has only been £1 million spent on transfers this summer. We are now less than 1 week away from the start of the season. 1 week away from the start of the season, and as it stands, we are currently weaker. Whether we like it or not, the squad is currently weaker than it was when it ended last season. Last season, when things weren't going well, we could bring Adam Ida on, and Adam Ida scored 9 goals for Celtic coming off the bench. We don't have anyone that can come off the bench and score goals for Celtic when things get going tough. And let's face it, it's going to have to be an instrumental amount of tactic changes, because let's face it, the low block will continue. Teams will not have changed their tactics. They will sit with the low block, the 5 in defence, and then the two banks of 5 they're going to sit in, aren't they? It might even get 6 at the back sometimes if you're really lucky. Woohoo! Yeah, you're going to get really lucky. You get 6 at the back. But Celtic have to make changes. And Brendan Rodgers has said during the summer that he was using the summer to implement some new tactical changes within the team for playing in Europe and also in the league, where they struggled on an ongoing basis to try and break down teams. Now, not everyone's going to play like Chelsea and try and have a go at Celtic. That just won't happen. I can see Kilmarnock, first day of the season, parking the bus and trying to hit on the brake. That's the way that Kilmarnock will play. They will park the bus, they'll try and hit on the brake, and they'll try and do an upset on Flag Day. If Kyogo gets injured, we are knackered, says Big Bruce. I think that we're more than knackered. We're then left with do we put if Kyogo gets injured, who do we put through the middle? And it's going to be a winger. At the end of the day, it's going to be a winger, but then can he make the runs that Kyogo does? Really, you're wanting an out-and-out striker. The fact that we are starting the season with one striker is absolutely... Do you know, it's disgusting. It's terrible. For a team that was renowned and played some fantastic football under Martin O'Neill, who played a 3-5-2 system, and I think that Celtic, and I was an advocate of it last year, I said that Celtic should maybe play a 3-5-2 in the league, because let's face it, teams aren't going to do anything. They're going to sit back. So there's no need for us to play 4 at the back, or even just, it is really 2 at the back, because the full backs then move up the pitch. Playing 3 at the back would be more than suffice for me. In the league, but I can understand why Brendan Rodgers likes his 4-3-3, because it's the way that all the top teams play, including Spain. Oh, and big shout out to the Spanish under-19s who won the Euros. Yes, they won the under-19 Euros, and a special shout out to the Spanish goalkeeper, because he comes from 5 miles. It's not even that. He comes from about 2.5 miles along the road from me, and the town has been going absolutely crazy. Not just the fact that they won it, but the goalkeeper came from where I come from. Anyways, absolutely fantastic news. Ida was a no-brainer, and the board managed to mess it up. So bloody frustrating. Yep. Mikey Johnson is our second choice striker. Well, if Mikey Johnson is our second choice striker, we are going into the season. I think we're all going to go into the games blessing ourselves before it. Because if that is progress, well, I don't even know what to fucking say to that. I'm going to be honest. If that's the way that the board think that we're going to go, drivers ought to drink. Celtic will win at least 3 goals against Kelly on Sunday, says Paul Beers. Paul will do predictions on Friday night. John says it's not next year Ali changing their pitch. I have no idea. It should have been this season, was it not? I thought it was this season that they were changing their pitch, that Kelly was changing the pitch. Mikey Johnson is not great at all. No, he's not. Celtic Girl says that. Ian says, I have to remember that it's another 5 weeks of the trummer of this trummer. Transfer nonsense. Yes, it's another 5 weeks of this transfer nonsense because the transfer window doesn't shut until of the beginning of September. So, what should we expect from Celtic this weekend? We'll expect the strongest team possible. We expect the team that started against Chelsea, apart from Alistair Johnston. But Alistair Johnston hasn't had any pre-season games. He's not had. I don't think he's been involved in any of the training. He was at the Man City game. Celtic haven't released any pictures of him back in training. He was at the Manchester City game. I don't have any photographic evidence of him being at the Chelsea game. He would have been if he was there. But Alistair Johnston will probably be in the starting lineup in place of the big bricky Tony Ralston. And let's face it, Tony Ralston is okay, but he is not the answer going into the season and into the Champions League. My main worry for the season going forward is that we have not improved one iota to go into the Champions League. Not one iota. If we go back to the beginning of last season, right up until about the... Sorry, just reading Lorna's comment. I'll catch you up in a minute, Lorna. The fact that right up until Christmas, Brendan Rodgers bemoaned the fact that we were inadequate in the final third. We were inadequate in the final third. If we were inadequate in the final third then, and it's all good having a nice pre-season where it's friendly games and teams aren't up to speed and etc., but as soon as the whistle is blown on Sunday, the Celtic team needs to click. And if there's any injuries at all, or if any player is holding back, because let's face it, with the transfer speculation in January last year, there was a certain player that had an 18 million bid put in for him, and his head went up his arse. His form went out the window for having such a great start to the season. When that speculation was there, his head was up his arse. The same happened at the beginning of last season with Rio Hatate. His head was up his arse also. His form was absolutely rubbish. His form was rubbish. And if that happens this week, if there's bids come in for any player, now it's been suggested that Leicester have put in a bid for Matt O'Reilly and it was knocked back. If any solid bids come in for a Celtic player this week, it's going to get them thinking, I need to watch. I'm not going to put in 100%. I'm not going to go into that tackle just in case I get an injury. You know, that's at the back of their mind because they're thinking, I might be on 20 grand a week more in about 2 weeks' time. So wait a minute. I'm not going to exert myself overly much because there is that transfer speculation. Mikey Johnson's got transfer speculation around him. He might say, whoa, do you know what I mean? He might not try his hardest because he's thinking, West Brom's, my fucking agent says West Brom's knocking on the door. What's happening? Even Brendan Rodgers says that he doesn't know what's going to happen with Mikey Johnston, which tells you everything that you need to know what's going on in Celtic just now. It's like a fucking clown juggling balls. And the finance director is the guy that's juggling the balls. And he keeps dropping them. And he's the worst clown ever. In fact, it's probably related to the face painter that didn't get paid at Ibrox. So he's the finance director is trying to juggle these balls and he keeps on dropping them and making a fucking tits arse of the transfer window for Celtic. Anyway, let's jump back into the comments section. Frank says, No riot, Celtic girl just shouts for Lowell removed. John says, still no signings. Lorna, yes, let's get Lorna up to date. So there's speculation that a player, a 21-year-old player that was linked with Celtic, Bristol City's Tommy Conway, may be going to Middlesbrough. I don't think that he's at the age that Celtic really be wanting to bring in a striker. I think if he was coming in, he would be third choice striker. I don't know what Celtic's plans are for third choice striker, but either way, we need a second choice striker. And I don't think a 21-year-old with limited first team experience is that answer. The Paulo Bernardo deal enters its finalisation. It's about done, basically. It's about done. Celtic will announce it over the next couple of days, it's been suggested. And other news, Hibs have reduced the allocation. Just catching up for Lorna, Hibs have reduced the allocation. Surprise, surprise. Not at all. And the new plans for Barrowfield have been lodged by the company that is doing things on behalf of Celtic, the Glasgow City Council, about offices and security stuff. Anyway, that is about that this evening. Anyway, let's get on to improved. We have moved backwards, says John. Yes, we have moved backwards. Baz had a great laugh on Super Scoreboard tonight. Did you? What happened on Super Scoreboard? I need to listen to that sometimes. I was away grabbing something to eat. Before the live. I keep getting lambasted on Scooper. The man came up, hate me. it's even better. Lorna says, cheers, Baz, and no worries. I'm not staying on too long tonight, actually. Just because it's just been a long day. It has been a long day. Gustav Lagerbelke, there is clubs looking about him. We know that Gustav has been told to find a new club. I really feel for Gustav, but there is a couple of clubs looking at him in Italy again. But we'll see what happens. Until there's anything, I mean, you can imagine what Brendan Rodgers did today, because obviously there'd be no one at training today. Hail from Hong Kong, says Chris My Ass. I love that one. And I always say your name because it's the best YouTube name ever. Chris My Ass. Dear Celtic girl, were you on Super Scoreboard? Ian says, I grabbed something to eat an hour ago. It was a large Chardonnay, said Ian. Well, I grabbed a kebab, to be honest. A plateau, yes. A kebab plateau, which is basically mixed doner meats. It's a takeaway tray with mixed doner meats, chips and salad. It cost €7. Fantastic. You can tell the missus isn't here. Eating kebabs on a Monday night. Eating fucking kebabs on a Monday night. What's wrong with you? Jesus. Oh. Anyway, the only chat, Stuart, is for a few minutes. John says, Aidan, I think we're waiting on the 1st of April leap year next year. I think Celtic. The Huns are getting paranoid about the stadium not opening until mid-October. I think that the Huns need the stadium before they play us. They definitely need Ibrox open before they meet us, because there is logistical nightmares for them and a stupid amount of money outlaid on security for Hampden. Because let's face it, when you go to Hampden, you're nowhere near the Huns. You're miles apart. You're absolutely miles apart. And there'll have to be barriers brought in. There'll have to be all this expense, and it's money that they don't have. Anyway, who cares about them? I'm looking forward to this season, Baz. I think we're going to run a mock. I think we're going to run a mock also, but I also think that we're understaffed. Now, it's fine, and I am all one for bringing youth through, and Celtic will do that this season. Brendan Rodgers will bring in youth players throughout the season to be included into the squad so that they're given match game time. But when it goes into the Champions League, this squad is weaker. The squad going into the Champions League is weaker than last season as it stands. And I don't think that that's acceptable. So you can imagine Brendan Rodgers went into Celtic Park today. I don't know if he would have had a day off after flying back. But he would have went into the office and he would have went, and I would have just went, do you know what? I feel it was Brendan. I'd have walked right into Nicholson's office, sat down on his seat, put my feet up on his table, sat back, lit a cigar, and said, "Do you think you're fucking Monica Lewinsky? What the fuck are you playing at?" That's what I would have said. I was like, come on. I wanted players in. Brendan must be secretly. I mean, you can tell by the body language of Brendan, and he's going to go along, he's going to toe the party line, Brendan. And he's going to say, do you know, there's things going on in the background, blah, de, blah, de, blah. He's going to say things are going on in the background. And we all remember what Brendan Rodgers has said over the course of the summer. And he wanted the players in before America. He got the keepers in whilst we were in America. I think if any Celtic fan says it's been a good window so far, and if any Celtic fan realistically thinks that the board is doing a good job just now, they need their head looked at. They need their head looked at. The Paulo Bernardo deal should have been done weeks ago. Weeks ago. We had him on an option to buy. An option to buy. But it's took us all summer to get the deal done. It took us all summer to get the Paulo Bernardo deal done. We had him on an option to buy. We had written that into the loan agreement contract a year ago that if all went well, we would buy him at a fixed price. Celtic then got the fixed price knocked down to 3.5 million, and then they've been battering with Paulo Bernardo about his wages. They knew his wages a year ago. They knew the transfer fee a year ago, but they're pissing about. And it's just nonsense. And the fact that Brendan Rodgers said his exact words were, we have sorted the targets out months before the end of the season. All transfer targets were identified months before the end of the season. Brendan Rodgers can only do so much. Brendan Rodgers can only train with the players he has. Brendan Rodgers can only make the most of the team that he has at his disposal. This summer lands on no one else's doorstep but Nicholson. Nicholson is now running things the way that Lawwell ran things, and that is not acceptable. It's not acceptable whatsoever. When Ange Postecoglou, we're repeating ourselves here, because when Ange came in, things were done, and they were done quick. And now they just seem to be going really slow. And it's absolutely fucking awful. Anyway, let me see if there's any more Celtic news kicking around. There's not much. Alexandro Bernabe. Celtic are braced for a fourth bid for Matt O'Reilly. And the Hibs allocation slashed. That'll be all over the Celtic medias tomorrow. All the Celtic sites will go on with the low allocation. Who's this one? Oh, there's nobody anything. Southampton are now ready in a bid for them. That's not new news. Jesus. See, trying to get some current news. Oh, yes, by the way, and the reason that the Adam Ida situation was clarified to me today, I did make contact with Anthony Joseph, and just to clarify the situation more than anything, and he did confirm that there were a couple of Italian teams looking at Paulo Bernardo, and that has been the case since the winter transfer window. So I just wanted to get that one clarified, and also the fact that Adam Ida is with his team at their training camp. Do you think that we'll be back up striker? But not a chance, Stephen. Not a chance. I'll reserve judgment on the board until the window is over, says Big Dom. Come on, Big Dom. You're always backing the board. You cannot say that this board are playing a blinder. The whole purpose of having people in transfer departments and everything in the board, the whole reason that you have a setup and you have meetings before the end of the season, right? You have meetings before the end of the season, and you identify your targets. You identify positions that you want filled. so that in the first day back in training, you've hopefully got the targets. So that you can then go through a training regime for the summer and work on tactics. Brendan Rodgers says this on various occasions during the summer. It's very hard to do tactical training when you're playing Saturday, Wednesday, because the days in between are all just about recovery and fitness. It's about recovery and fitness. It's all about recovery and fitness. There's very limited time until the international break in October to try and work on tactics. Very, very difficult. That's Brendan Rodgers' own words. It's very difficult to work on tactics during the season. Brendan Rodgers wanted the players in so they can work on the new tactics, the new formations, the new trying to get past a low block, the new defensive measures that they're going to implement within the Champions League. They have to work on that when they have pre-season. That's what pre-season's for. Celtic would be as well saying to the players, go and get fit yourself, report back 2 days before the fucking start of the season, just to save money. And Brendan, you can do the same. Celtic has shown themselves to be really, really poor in a football sense, in my opinion. Anyway, we've been on the road for half an hour tonight. We're done and dusted for the evening. But that's why our Celtic not went with a second bid for Adam Ida. I have no idea. They know what they want for him, and they're saying that they don't want to pay it. I don't know. Nobody knows. I think the Adam Ida deal will go through, but it'll be the late end of the transfer window. And for me, that is not good enough for Celtic. They'll grind them out. This is the way that Peter Lawwell used to do business. This is the Peter Lawwell training book of buying players. Grind a team down, make sure the player wants to come, agree personal terms with the player, but then keep on grinding the team down until they go into submission and you get the player that you want for the price that you wanted to pay, not the price that they actually valued the player at. Now, in business sense, yeah, that's good. But when you've got a squad that isn't there and thereabout, it's disheartening. And whilst people will say, oh, the board have done fucking great, wait till it comes till October, right? And then we've got the AGM. Wait till it comes October, November, we've got the AGM. And you see how much money we're sitting with in the bank. Are you going to say the fucking board's doing well then? The board is a fucking shower of charlatans. They're a shower of charlatans, whether you like it or not. I've said it for years. A lot of my mates have said it for years, and it is just the way it is. Anyway, one more thing before we leave. We do have 17,768. We are getting close to that 18,000 before the end of August. Can we get to 18,000 before the end of August? And finally, I want to give a big shout out to a lot of the channel members because they deserve a shout out. Studio. And we currently have, and by the way, somebody says, "Oh, are you doing this? Who cares?" Anyway, we are within we're right at the top end of the range for YouTube parameters of how many people you would expect to subscribe to a membership in the first month, and we're sitting at 13. And the parameters are 15, up to 15 in the first month. So this channel is doing fantastically well. So a big shout out to Lorna Gallagher, who was first up 11 days ago, Carly, John Paul Murray, Gemma, Simon Ireland, Sean 1970, John O'Neill, Derek O'Neill, Angelo, who comes in from another part of the world, Something Today, Gordon Crouch, John Milne, and the last one was 3 days ago, Richie, who is one of the channel members. There is a separate sort of little chat bit on the community tab for private members, and once you've been a member for a month, your comments will be highlighted. Yes, your comments in the comment section will be highlighted after you've been a member for 1 month. A big shout out to DJ Singy, who was doing a live last night. How do you do a live with the decks? I was going to ask you that. How would you manage? Did I take it you just get it all going through your laptop? Or your laptop DJ? You're not a real DJ. The board will give themselves big bonuses, that's for sure. Yes, they will. Baz, can you give a shout to my wife Laura, who's going through cancer treatment? But Scott, a big shout out to Laura, and it's always cancer treatment's one of those things that if you catch it early enough, you can get over it. You get over it. My old man did 5 years ago now. Uh, my old man caught his prostate cancer quick enough, and he managed to fight it. And he's still grumpy old fucking sod. Hope he's not listening. He's still a grumpy old sod, and he's got years left in him. On the other side of it, my dog, she got a cancer operation. She got a cancer. DJ singing you back. My dog got a cancer operation when she first moved here 4 years ago, and she was given 6 months to live. She's now here 4 years, but one of the cancer tumours is back with a vengeance on her spleen. So we've got a decision whether to operate or not, because she's got a dodgy heart also. So a big shout out to Laura, who is going through a cancer treatment at the moment, and I hope you get through it successfully. Anyway, lots of wishes, good wishes. DJ Singy, he's not really a laptop DJ. 3 weeks we rock to Rocco. Is it? Is it 3 weeks to Rocco? Oh God, my fucking old man will be fucking posting all sorts of backstage fucking things because he's the stage manager, isn't he? Fucking knob. Anyway, big shout out to all the ones that have commented. If I haven't mentioned you tonight, I apologies. Beating Man City and Chelsea, probably the worst thing that could have happened to us this season, says Ian. I get that, Ian. I think it probably is the worst thing that could have happened because it means that the board won't go out and spend any money. Anyway, big shout out to the 17,600. And we only get about 1,000. Must be the time of night that I do this. Because when I could do a video at the back of 5, it goes like 2,000 views in an hour. But anyway, a big shout out to the 17,768 subscribers. We are on the road to 18,000. We want to hit 18,000 before the transfer window shuts. And then we could do the live on transfer deadline day. That would be absolutely a laugh, wouldn't it? Oh, that would be a snore fest as far as Celtic are concerned. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic evening to all you Celtic fans. All